second year of our garden, and it started with an idea, I guess, from Wendy Asen, who got a few people together that said we needed a community garden in our area, and got a little group together, and we began in November 2007, and within 6 months we had a garden.
Community gardens were actually first identified as a gap in our area when we did a food security assessment back in 2007. We realized that we were really lacking in that area in terms of food security. So we felt that it was critical in order to build greater food security in this area that we need to look at getting some community gardens developed. So from the experience that we've had at this garden, we realized that number one, there is a demand and a growing demand for people to be able to grow their own food, and there's lots of reasons. You can look at food security in terms of household food security, in other words, families that need to supplement their income by growing their own food. But you can also look at it in terms of the bigger picture, and we're sustaining or creating or supporting a culture that looks at growing their own food and values the freshness and the ability and the capacity to grow food locally. So on a larger community scale, it's really important, I think, to develop those skills, to foster those skills.
Able to have a school garden component to our program here. This is the second year, and we've evolved. It's been interesting. We've evolved it from regular kind of gardening to square foot or square meter gardening. To engage the kids in having them build their own gardens, measure, cut, do all that, put them together. And what you see behind here is the start of an ongoing project. So these are square meter gardens that the kids put together. And the stuff that you see in here, the ones that have the plants in it, were done about the middle of June. And on Canada Day, we had a number of parents and a number of kids come out on Canada Day, and we built 6 more gardens. The goal is that each class at the school would have 2 or 3 or 4 gardens available to that teacher if they chose to do some gardening activities. So then the question is, well, why do we do garden activities? And what I'm really keen on is gardening, and gardening activities are a way to make the science curriculum come alive, and really for what I think is the key point, it's about climate change. How do you address climate change in a way that doesn't overwhelm adults, doesn't overwhelm kids? If you think back to what your experiences were when you were a kid, when did you first know that your gardens were something that you planted? I don't know what the question would be today, or what the answer would be today, of how many kids do gardening at home. So when I did some research on climate change and the issues surrounding climate change, it can become overwhelming, too big. So one of the strategies that we're using here is bringing it home so that it's a hands-on, a real constructivist approach for kids, and actually they get their hands right involved in it so that they understand about growing cycles, that they understand about rain cycles and water cycles, that they understand what it takes to grow things. And by that way, we open the door into an understanding of teaching on those bigger concepts about climate change.
We also wanted to look at a network plan that would see more gardens available in more neighborhoods, because we really believe long-term sustainability means that you can get to those gardens within your own neighborhood. You're not having to drive, and sometimes for people transportation is an issue. Plus we want to really look at the carbon footprint and reduce it wherever we can, and being able to cycle or walk to a community garden is really the ideal.
Onions, I think those are chives, tomatoes, turnips, basil, potatoes. That's
Down in the open noggin, down in the pretty valley, sun will be shining, our children will be singing. Come to the open noggin.